What's going on, guys? Kyle here, and welcome to the Monday Mastermind. Today, we're going to be covering a topic that I think everybody is going to love. It is kvCORE. So this was one of the best videos that I've put on my channel so far as the most watched so far. So I was figuring I'm going to do a second video on it, and we're going to talk a little bit about something different this time, which is kind of the lead generation, but coming from landing pages and squeeze pages. As I think that is one of the questions that I get asked most often is, of course, centered around lead generation, but specifically, landing pages and squeeze pages. So that's what we're going to cover today. I hope that you're ready to rock and roll. I hope you're ready to generate some leads, as this is the lifeblood of our business as real estate agents. And if you don't know who I am, if this is the first time watching one of these videos, my name is Kyle Handy. I'm a real estate agent out here in San Antonio, Texas. I've been in the business for about 11 years now, and I still am actively selling real estate. I've got buyers and sellers that I work with. I do roughly about 15 million in volume here in San Antonio, Texas, but I also have a team of agents here at EXP of about 250 agents all over the country. 30 different states, 3 Canadian provinces that I also work with as far as helping them to grow their businesses here at EXP. And so anyways, that being said, it's enough about me. I'm going to jump right into our training for the day, which is the kvCORE slides here. So specifically landing pages and squeeze pages. So first off, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the difference between the two, as this is kind of the way that I've remembered them as far as being different. Landing pages are essentially when a lead lands on a page and they immediately have a decision either to register for whatever it is your offer is or not, right? Like you're sending them somewhere, and then they're going to decide once they hit that page, do I want what that person's offering? And should I give up my email address or my phone number or whatever it might be? Or do I want to bounce, right? Like that is what a landing page is. You've probably seen buyer landing pages, seller landing pages, home value landing pages, and short sale landing pages, foreclosure landing pages. Those are just a couple of the examples of the different types of landing pages that you might see. And then the next one we're going to talk about is my preferred one, which are squeeze pages. Beautiful thing about kvCORE is you can do both of them. I'm going to jump into my kvCORE here after we get through the slides and just share with you kind of some of the things that I use and how I use kvCORE to create these types of things. But a squeeze page, the way that you can remember this is that a lead will arrive on a page and they get some access to that information or that content before being squeezed into registering for more information, right? So you give them a little bit of value by sending them to your squeeze page, and then after they've taken a couple actions is when they're going to need to register to continue to get that same value. So what you might see for this, for instance, one of the ads that I would run a lot was a list of pool homes, right? So I would send somebody to my kvCORE site and I would say, here's the best or the newest or the, pool homes under 300,000 or whatever it is that I wanted to kind of hook them on. I'd let them get into the list and see the addresses. They'd click on a property, then they'd click on the next property. And when they clicked on that next property, it would make them register to keep looking, right? So that was the difference. That's kind of what a squeeze page is. There's also a Polygon squeeze page, which you can create with kvCORE, where essentially you can just make any kind of slice and dice of your city. You can take different bits and pieces of the city, make a polygon of it, and offer that up as like, hey, if it's like a neighborhood and you got to, kind of use the Polygon search to map around it, you can do that. And then you could say, hey, these are the top or the newest homes in Timberwood Park or whatever it is, right? That would be like a polygon. You can even do it with a single listing. So for instance, on a single listing, more than likely what you're going to do if it's a new listing of yours is you might do something like you'll send them to that page and they might be able to see a little bit of the info, right? Like maybe they can see the price, maybe they can see a photo of it, but if for them to get all of the access to it, they're going to have to register. Now, obviously, if you're doing a single listing squeeze page, you want to make sure that that lead capture comes on pretty close to immediately, because if you do it on the second one, well, then it's not a very effective squeeze page, because they can just get what the information they wanted and bounce. And then you can also do like a video one where basically you can give one tip, right? Like maybe if it's for a seller, you can give them, one tip on selling for their home for top dollar, or a staging tip or something like that. But say, look, if you want my top 5 tips, you're going to need to register or give me at least your email address, right? So I can send you the video. That would be an example of a squeeze page. All right. So at least now you kind of know the differences between the two. And like I said, I like to do squeeze pages just because I feel like I like to give that value, build up a little bit of trust in the beginning to be able to start that relationship off with, versus just doing a landing page and then they either, sign up or they bounce. Either way, the end of the game, kind of the long-term game on this is there's what's called retargeting. I've talked about it in a couple of videos. And ideally, as long as somebody just clicks on your advertisement, I now am going to be able to retarget that person indefinitely, right? And so even if they don't sign up for my landing page or they don't sign up for my squeeze page, that doesn't mean that they'll never sign up. I just got to figure out a different offer or a different value add or catch them at a different time. But anyways, that's enough about that. We'll jump on to the next one. So there's 2 options for lead generation, right? And this is kind of getting outside of just, necessarily landing pages and squeeze pages. This is really talking about lead generation. This is the beginning of the process, the beginning of that lead generation process. You got to make the decision of which route you're going to go down. Are you going to use kvCORE for your registration, or are you going to use Facebook for your registration? Right? And let me talk to you about what the difference is. So essentially I'm sure most realtors at this point know what Facebook lead advertisements are, right? Like, that you can run lead ads and capture information directly on Facebook without ever having to use a landing page or a squeeze page on your website. And there's advantages and disadvantages to doing that. So first off, I'm going to talk about Facebook and kind of what it looks like on that. But essentially with Facebook, it is harder to set up. The reason why it's a little bit harder to set up is because you're basically doing everything in one. You are creating the ad, you're creating the landing page or the squeeze page, whatever that offer, that value is that you're giving, you're putting it into that ad. And then you got to figure out a way to get that lead, that registered, into your CRM system and then start following up with them there. So there's a little bit more work. You got to use a tool called Zapier typically to be able to take that lead that was captured in Facebook and send it over to kvCORE. It's not a super hard thing to set up. It's just an extra step. So if you go to Zapier.com, you'll sign up for an account. It does require a premium account, which I think is like $10 a month, maybe $15 a month at Zapier. But then once you do that, it's pretty simple. You'll log into Facebook on Zapier. You'll log into kvCORE on Zapier. And then it gives you just options. And you say, I want to connect these 2 programs. It's going to say, well, what do you want to do? And you're going to say, well, anytime a new lead registers on Facebook, I want to send it to kvCORE, and they've got those things built in. So as long as if you got 30 minutes to spare, you can go in there and you can get it all set up. It's pretty simple, but it is that extra step. Now on Facebook, one advantage is that it is going to be a lower cost per lead typically, versus sending somebody to a landing page that is off of Facebook. Or if you're doing Google ads, it's off of Google and they're coming to your website and you're asking for a registration there. Typically, any friction that you introduce into your funnel is going to lower your conversion. And when you lower your conversion, your cost per lead goes up a little bit, but that's not always a bad thing. Typically what I've seen with Facebook is, yes, it is a lower cost per lead, but it also is usually a lower quality lead. You got to look at what the intent is for somebody on Facebook. So somebody that is, just on Facebook and they're, scrolling their news feed, they probably might not be looking at homes, right? But your ad might catch their attention and they might click and register. And that's some of the leads you'll get. You'll get some serious leads too, but just realize that that intent there is a lot different than somebody that's on Google pay-per-click and they're typing in, homes for sale in 78258. Your ad pops up for, the top 10 homes in 78258, and they click it. They go to your squeeze page where they can see some of these homes, and then they have to be force registered. That is a much different intent. So typically you're going to find a little higher quality but less volume doing the second part, which is where they would register on your kvCORE website versus Facebook. But let me finish up kind of talking about the differences. So the next one, so registering on Facebook, you're gonna only be able to run these ads on Facebook. You can't do it on Google. Google essentially it's a search engine, so they're gonna search, they can come across your ad, but then you got to have a place for them to convert, which is going to be your kvCORE website. Facebook, you're basically running the ad on Facebook and you're going to convert them on Facebook. And keep in mind too, I mean, you can run ads on Facebook where it's just like a Google ad where, you have like an image or something like that, and it sends them to your website, your kvCORE website. You can still run ads like that. But what I've found is that typically doing that, you kind of get the worst of both worlds, essentially. Instead of the best of both worlds, you get the worst of both worlds, where essentially you're getting low intent and you're getting a higher cost per lead because you're introducing friction. The only reason I like to do Facebook ads is because the cost per lead is so low that yes, maybe the quality may not be there for all of them, but I can make it up in volume because there's more leads going to be coming through. But if I've got, if I'm doing an ad on Facebook and the ad is just sending people to my kvCORE website, the cost per lead is high and the intent is still pretty low. So that's not my preferred way of doing it. I either choose, am I going to run a Facebook lead ad where they're going to see the ad and register on Facebook, or am I going to do a Google ad and have them go onto my kvCORE website and land either on my landing page or my squeeze page? Those are kind of the two different mindsets that I have, and that's why I've got both of them kind of listed out here. And so anyways, the conversion will take place on Facebook, then directed to your targeted website page. So what this would look like is, let's just say you run an ad on Facebook and it's for, the top 10 pool homes, a list of the top 10 pool homes in San Antonio, Texas. It's spring is coming up, you can tell. So, we're ready for pool season, but, the top 10 pool homes in San Antonio, Texas. They click on it on Facebook. Your ad catches their eye. They want to see this list of 10 homes, right? So they click it, whatever your ad is, and it says, more information. They realize, okay, on Facebook, something pops up and it says, you need to put your email or your phone number, whatever it is that you set up that you want to get from them. I usually just captured emails. And so they put their email in there, or with Facebook, what's nice is that it's already put in there because Facebook already has that data. All they got to click is submit. And then what ends up happening is when you're setting up the ad, you can direct what happens to the person next once they've completed that form, once they've given that information that you're requesting of them. They can get redirected to a URL that you provide, or you can put a URL in there that they can click on once they've submitted that information. And when they click on that URL or when they get redirected, it's going to take them to your kvCORE website at this point, and it's going to get them to that list of properties of pool homes or whatever it is that you promised, right? Because with kvCORE, what's really cool is you can set up a search. You can, and I'll show you here how to do it once we actually jump into the platform. You can set up a squeeze page, but then require that it never requires them to register, because the one thing you don't want to do is send them to your website and then have them get force registered after they already provided their information in Facebook. And so that's kind of the process. It'll probably make more sense once I actually show you and take you through it, but just realize that is kind of the process. They're going to see the ad on Facebook. They're going to determine if they want to, fill out that form. If they do, it's going to send them to your website where now they get free access to whatever it is that you promised that you would give to them. Whereas, like if I'm on the right-hand side over here on registering on kvCORE, essentially you're doing like a Google ad for the top pool homes in whatever zip code or whatever city you want to use. they see that advertisement on Google, they click it, they go to your website, they can see a couple properties, then the forced registration happens. And then once they register, it just unlocks those same properties now. They can continue looking and the lead is already in your kvCORE CRM. With Facebook, the last part of that is where you use Zapier, and now that they've registered, Zapier zaps that lead into kvCORE CRM. And so one of the better things about Facebook is that typically you'll get more accurate information because that information's pre-populated on the Facebook form. A lot of times they just click submit. So, you're getting a cell phone number, you're getting an email address, and it's going to be what their information is, unless they go in and change it and put something in there that's wrong. Whereas on kvCORE, they have to type everything. There's, your website doesn't know their information automatically. So they've got to type it in. So when they type it in, there's more tendency for them to just type in, Mickey Mouse or whatever. So you might get less accurate information that way. But just realize that, again, with kvCORE and using that as your landing page or squeeze page, yes, you may get less leads. Yes, they might be more expensive, but typically they will be higher, more quality leads. All right, so that kind of sums up the difference between the two. I'm going to give you a couple squeeze page examples because, again, this is my favorite one versus a landing page. I'm going to give you a squeeze example for kvCORE, and then we'll jump into Facebook. So, for instance, I already kind of talked to you about, pool homes. So let's go ahead and just do best homes in 78258. I kind of gave you that example. So you're going to run that ad on Google. You can run it on Facebook, so I put it in there. But I recommend doing it on Google because, again, if you do it on Facebook and then you send them to kvCORE, it's not as you're kind of getting the worst of both of those scenarios there. But they're going to arrive then on your kvCORE generated squeeze page once they've clicked on that link. They're going to see your list of properties. They're going to click through a couple. Then they must register to continue browsing. Registration takes place on kvCORE, so the lead is automatically routed into your CRM. No Zapier is needed. And there's all these different different categories that you can do as far as a squeeze page. You can do pool homes. You can do homes on land. You can do fixer-uppers. You can do adult 55 plus, adult communities, 3-car garage homes, new construction, foreclosure, seller financing, zip codes, neighborhoods, and cities, right? Those are all the different squeeze pages. That's actually not all. You could do more than that if you want and get creative with it. But just know your market, know what people are looking for, and try a few of them. I've run, pretty much all of these that I just listed out, and all of them have different effectiveness, right? Pool homes always seem to be a really good one for me. New construction is a good one as well. Foreclosure is good, but you're going to deal with a lot of, leads that, are maybe not qualified, or, you're going to deal with a lot of stuff to find gold in those. I'll just tell you that now. Same thing with seller financing. So again, just be aware of those different things. All right, so then I'll give you a squeeze example for Facebook. All right, so for instance, what you would do for a squeeze page, so to speak, on Facebook, and again, this is not using the squeeze page that kvCORE does. This is all on Facebook right here. You essentially would do something like show an image of an upcoming listing, a listing that's not live yet, right? Put the zip code in your ad copy. So have the photo, a real nice image of the listing that's coming soon, come up with some great ad copy, but make sure to put the zip code in there. But then make sure that you put that they need to message you or sign up, have some kind of a registration, right, for the additional information, the price, the photos, the more information, right, to be able to get that. Once they've signed up, Facebook then sends them to the URL on your website with that information as promised. And if it's not a listed property, chances are you can't just shoot them over, the MLS ID or the listing because it's not up yet. You may have to have like a separate blog post that you create, which you can do on kvCORE, where you've got the information about what is coming up on that listing. That way you are delivering on that promise. And again, this is if you're doing a lot of ads. If you're doing a small ad, you might just say, hey, maybe your ad is for messages, and they might just message you if they want more information, and you can probably handle that by just manually typing back, right? But if you want something more automated, then you're going to want to kind of create that funnel where, they automatically get directed to a blog post or whatever it might be. But then again, you need to also set up Zapier to be able to send that lead into your CRM. So the next example, this is where you could take like a screenshot screenshot of a map of a list of properties. So let's just say you did the pool homes, and then kvCORE kind of shows you a map of where all of those homes are at. Just take a snapshot, a screenshot on your computer of that, and use that as your image for your ad on Facebook. And then you're going to promise them that list of the hottest pool homes or whatever you want to title it, right? Upon registration, once they've registered, they've given you their information, Facebook then can send them to this URL created with this dynamic list of properties. The nice thing about kvCORE is when you set up a URL or you set up a search like that squeeze page, it's dynamic. So essentially, if you want to say, I only want homes listed in the last 7 days, it's only going to show, even if, the ad runs for 5 days, well, then in 5 days, it's only going to have the most recent 7 days of data. And so it'll always be updating. So you'll never have, listings that have sold or pended or anything like that in there. It's always going to be active listings when you're using that squeeze page feature. But you will still need to set up your Zapier to send the leads into your CRM. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to just jump right into kvCORE. So you can see here, I've got kvCORE pulled up. And here's where you can see landing pages and squeeze pages. And I am going to just real quickly show you the difference between the two. I'm not going to spend a long time on landing pages, but essentially here's your landing page. They land on it and then they have to decide, do I want what the offer is or not, right? And that's it. That's pretty much, it's pretty simple, right? They've got different landing pages you can choose between. You can do just a lead generation, which is pretty just basic, right? And you can choose if you want their phone to be required or not. You can change around all of this, as far as what the unique aspects of your offer might be, right? And this is just, it's got, a weekly list of hot buys in and around your town. You could make this whatever you want to make it. You could do it as a seller landing page. If you want to make it as a seller landing page, you would do address capture, right? And then you'd change some of this stuff around and talk about what they're going to get if they were to put their address in here. It's pretty basic. I don't use it. I'm not a big fan of this one. You can do videos if you want, and you could insert a video in there. You just put the YouTube ID up there, and that's kind of how that works. So that is your landing page idea there. Now for squeeze pages, this is the one that I use. So you can see here, this is where you're going to get a lot more options on creating what it is that you want to give out as your value add. And so for instance, this is the one that I use most often, the multi-property squeeze page. And so let's just say that I wanted to do one for San Antonio, Texas. The listing type is going to be single family. I'm not going to do anything with price on this one. I'm just going to go down here to options and I'm going to select pool, right? And then for the page configuration, this is where you're going to set it up for when somebody registers. It's going to tag that lead, the source, hashtag, all that kind of stuff. So in here, I'll put, if I'm running an ad on Google, I'll just write Google as the source. Even though they're going to come through my kvCORE squeeze page, I want to know that that person originally came from Google. I'm going to put in here pool, all right? So that way I can hashtag them with pool. So if I ever want to do something with them in the future, I can segment my database by pool buyers. If a cool pool listing comes on, 3 months from now, I can just search all the people that had the pool hashtag and send them something. I don't actually know what this Facebook cover photo is. I just use that one, this use listings from search results. I've never seen that. And then here's where you'd select property views allowed before registration. So if this is like a Google advertisement and they have not registered on Google, they're coming to your site to get whatever it was that your advertisement promised, then I would leave it at 2. That's what I like to do. I don't do immediate. I let them see one property, and then on the next property they look at, it does make them register. But if you're doing this as like a Facebook, right? Like maybe you did a Facebook squeeze page for pool homes, right? And they've already registered. They gave you their information on Facebook. You can do never, so that way they're not registering on Facebook and then all of a sudden registering again on kvCORE, right? And so I'm going to give you an example of what this looks like. I'm going to put it as 2. I'm going to generate this link, copy the link, and I'm going to put it in here to show you what it's going to look like. So if they're on Google and they clicked on the ad for top pool homes in San Antonio, Texas, they're going to get directed right here. They're going to say, oh my gosh, this list has got 732 results. I probably would narrow that down to like where I would come in here and maybe grab the just listed as well. There we go. Let's go ahead and generate a new link here. Copy that. Let's see what we get here. 57. That's a little bit better. So that way it seems like you've curated this list a little bit better. So you got 57 results. They see a list here. I'm going to look. Let me make sure I'm logged out. Click on that. Log out here. There we go. Okay, go back to that link. So now again, setting up the scenario. I was in Google. I saw this ad. It said, best pool homes in San Antonio. I come here. I got 57 that it's showing me right now. Okay, let's see. I'm looking at this one. And then, I'm scrolling through. I've seen everything that I want to see. And then I'm going to go to scroll on, check out this one. Similar property. So now you see what happens. It's going to pop up a form where now they got to give their email address, and then once they do that, you can see it's going to say cell phone number to be used as your password. They actually don't need to fill that out. They can just say continue with email, and then it'll let them go through, or of course they can continue with Facebook or Google, and that'll register them as well. So that's one way of doing it. And again, like I said, if you wanted to, if you've already captured their contact information and now you're just trying to deliver on your promise, if they registered on Facebook or whatever, you come in here and you just say never, right? And then you'd, generate that link again. And then this is the link that you're going to put into Facebook if, once they've done their registration, like once they've already registered and give you that information, you say, okay, great. Thanks for your information. I would probably use the short link down here. They're the same links, just one shorter and looks prettier than the other. And you're going to say, okay, great. Go to this link to get the list, right? Or if it can forward them automatically to the URL, you might want to do that. And so you got all sorts of different options down here, and you can mix and match just like I did, where you did, just listeds and pool homes. But you can see this is where I got my information. You got foreclosures, short sales, distressed, golf course, open houses. You can do all sorts of great different squeeze page examples from here. And again, this is that draw and map feature, that Polygon that I was talking about. So essentially you can come in here and let's just say that when you're typing in, the area, right? Timberwood Park. See how I can select this neighborhood? So I wouldn't need to use the draw on map feature, but sometimes there's, an area or something like that just doesn't pull up, right? So like, maybe it's not just as simple as like a zip code or a neighborhood. Maybe you know best and you want to say, I want just, this area, and we call it something like this area is called the Great North Central or something, right? And I'm going to give the best homes in the Great North Central. Well, now you can make your own little criteria, apply that selection, and then create your squeeze page from that. I could take pool homes off. I could just have that. See how now it changed to edit map. So if I wanted to go back and edit it, I could, but I could just leave it at that. I could, give it a max price, all sorts of different things that I want to do in there to make that a squeeze page. So that is again for buyers. The next thing that you got is you do have the single property squeeze page, which again, to me, this is almost like a landing page, because essentially what I would do in this case is I would take it down from the 2 default to the 1 immediate, because if they're coming to your website to get information about a property and you give it to them without them ever having to register, chances are they're not going to register. So I wouldn't do an ad like that. So I would make it immediate, but then it basically is almost like that property is a landing page essentially, because they're going to get on there and they're going to choose to either register or not. You haven't given a whole lot of value outside of maybe you've given them a little bit of information. So that's where it's kind of half and half, landing page, squeeze page, right? It's a little bit of both. The next one that you can do is a seller squeeze page. So I would much prefer to use this than to use the address field and creating your own landing page using the kvCORE landing page like I showed you earlier. I would much rather do this as a seller squeeze page. So let's just say that in here, what I want to do is offer a instant marketing report, market report. So let's just go ahead and say I'm going to do this on Facebook. The hashtag is going to be, let's say, Timberwood Park, because this is going to be the neighborhood that I'm targeting this ad to. The area, and I don't think, let's see, yeah, there we go. Timberwood Park is in there. So I select that and I say generate link. I'm going to copy that link. This is what it looks like. So if somebody comes in here, right? So now it's basically, this is a landing page. So they have it listed as a squeeze page, right? But this is a landing page. You're going to send somebody to this, right? And they got to make a decision. Like, are they going to enter their address and get what their property value is or not? Right. And I'll be honest, guys, this is a great way to do it if you're going to do seller landing pages like this. But as of a couple years ago, I mean, this isn't very effective, quite honestly, anymore. I think people are more smart than that. Consumers are more smarter than that. They can get their valuations wherever they want to get them. They know this is automated. It's probably not going to be very good. And so you might want to figure out what your offer is going to be to sellers. Again, maybe it needs to be a free custom analysis, right? Like, somehow create a video on this landing page, like go back and make a video landing page where you explain that if they put their address in there within 24 hours, you're going to create a video for them that's 5 minutes long, explaining the comps and, showing them what their property's worth at no charge to them, right? Something like that. Like, get creative and don't just do the automated valuations, because the prices on these leads are expensive. I mean, I remember the last time before I stopped doing this, a given lead on these were $40 to $50 per lead on a seller lead report like this. And so I don't do those anymore, but if you got some way that you're going to try and do it or whatever, that's how you could do it. Market reports are pretty interesting. This is basically where you would come in here and let's just say, San Antonio is going to be my area that I'm going to do. The Facebook is going to be my source. Hashtag is going to be, let's just say San Antonio. There we go. Generate the link. This is what it looks like. There we go. So see here, they basically, it makes them register right away before they can even get their market report. So let's just, here, I'll go ahead and register. Gmail.com. Say continue with email. There we go. All right. So what's going to happen here is now they can get their market report. I don't know. I don't think that you've given enough value for somebody to realistically have, given you their information, their email address or their phone number. So I don't know how effective this one would be. Again, the most effective ones that I've found are these multi-property, but I just wanted to kind of be thorough and show you what all of these are and explain to them. I do like this market report. I think it's cool. I just don't think it's enough to get somebody to register without them knowing what it is. You might need to have created a video, right? Showing like, if you give me your email address, this is what you're going to see. Right? Or at least something, because I, of course, just filled it out because I'm showing you what this is. But most people, they don't know, like, okay, this is what I'm going to get to see. If I give you my email address, they probably will just, exit out or whatever. So you might either need to take some screenshots, do a quick little video explaining that this is what they're going to see. But the other thing that I don't really like about this is, let me see. It's it's only available for like cities, counties, zip codes. You can't put like individual neighborhoods, and you can't select like a Polygon search for these market reports. So it's pretty exclusive to just a couple cities or zip codes in your area. Zip codes might be better. You can see, you can click on that and get the zip code data from that. But as far as it being a squeeze page, again, I don't know how much value you've given them. It's basically just a landing page, and even at that, it's a pretty weak landing page in my opinion. If I again, I'll show you what it looked like. I clicked on that, and essentially your ad would have said something like click here for your market report on XYZ place. Well, here I got to log out here so you can see what it essentially looked like, but it wasn't anything special, right? There was nothing that would have probably made me want to give my information. So that would be the only thing I would caution about that. So basically, look, you can kind of see a little bit behind it. You don't know, you don't see anything down there. You literally just got to, either register to get it or not. And so I would be cautious for that one. But at least now you kind of know the difference between landing pages, between squeeze pages. Some examples of what you can do with them. And the difference between if you want to use Google or Facebook. if you want to capture the lead directly on Facebook, or if you want to send them to your kvCORE website. So at least it gets you thinking of a few things like that. But let me know what questions you guys have. Put them in the comments below. Give this video a like if you haven't already. Definitely put it in the comments if you're part of that 1% crew and you watched this all the way to the end. I really appreciate you doing that. And if you got any suggestions for any videos coming up that you'd like to see me make, let me know. I'm trying to start making more and more content, so I'm adding different things that I'm going to do into my little content scheduler. So I've got all sorts of different ideas for this year, but I really appreciate you tuning in. And until next week, I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.